Hi everyone, for tonight's Nightcap and review, I'm having an adult beverage, and tonight I'll be discussing Men Who Hate Women from Incels to Pickup Artists, the truth about extreme misogyny and how it affects us all by Laura Bates. This was my nonfiction audiobook that I got through the Libby app. Of course, I'm giving my honest opinion. I gave this 5 stars, and this book was a rough read, but it was definitely interesting to say the least. So what's this book about? Now, to make sure I don't misspeak or misrepresent what this book's about, I'm going to read the synopsis straight from the Zon. The first comprehensive undercover look at the tea movement no one is talking about, Men Who Hate Women, examines the rise of secretive extremist communities who despise women and traces the roots of misogyny across a complex spiderweb of groups. It includes eye-opening interviews with former members of these communities, the academics studying these movements, and men fighting it back. Women's rights activist Laura Bates, who wrote the book, as someone who has been the target of many hate-fueled misogynistic attacks online. At first, the vitriol seemed to be the work of a small handful of individual men, but over time, the volume and consistency of the attacks hinted at something bigger and more ominous. As Bates went undercover into the corners of the internet, she found an unseen, organized movement of thousands of anonymous men who are wishing violence and worse upon women. In the book, Bates explores extreme communities like incels, pickup artists, MGTOW, men's rights activists, and more. The hateful, toxic rhetoric used by these groups, how these movements connect to other extremist movements like white supremacy, how young boys are targeted and slowly drawn in, and where this ideology shows up in our everyday lives in mainstream media, our playgrounds, and our government. By turning fascinating and horrifying Men Who Hate Women is a broad, unflinching account of the deep current of loathing towards women and anti-feminism that underpins our society and is a must-read for parents, educators, and anyone who believes in equality for women. That was a mouthful. So what are my thoughts? Again, I'm giving this 5 stars. Now, I'm going to admit this is a tough read, but it is one I would really recommend. I am a big believer that the best way to protect yourself and those you love is with information. And as a mom to 2 small young boys, it is my biggest fear that they're going to fall down one of these pipelines because I was not aware. I am definitely aware of all the different data points that we see on the daily, especially in this country, but I did not see the connection necessarily between the two. And this book definitely connects the dots, as it were. It shows you the spider web. And in my mind, I will admit, I never saw the race component of it and how like being in the red pill movement or the incel movement can lead to white nationalism. And it was definitely, this whole book is scary when you see all the different data points and the connections. And you definitely get a feeling of hopelessness, but you can't fight something if you don't know something. And the thing that is scary is just all the legitimacy being given to these movements because of the algorithms that are the world, let's be honest, the world runs on, because extremism is what these algorithms push out, because that is what gets engagement. So horrible topic could be trending and a politician will talk about it, and that adds a level of legitimacy. A guy's video about anti-feminism will pop off on the algorithm and a news anchor will interview them, adding a level of legitimacy, and that just adds to the hopelessness. But really fixing that and so many other areas is how we can start to combat this, because we can't assume that our children are going to be as progressive as we are. We have to really combat them and talk to them and work against this my brain is against this movement. We have to put the work in. And so towards the end of the book, while you do feel a little hopeless, it definitely gives you some points of where to start of trying to combat it. So this was overwhelming, but it was worth reading, and I would recommend it. Just be prepared for how you're going to feel listening to it. Like some of the ways that these men view us as women, as people in the LGBTQI, it's scary. But again, you can't fight something if you're not aware of it. So I would recommend it. It is currently available, and I hope everyone has a good night and happy readings.